I'm standing here in the Holland Marsh near the banks of Lake Simcoe at the crossroads between rural farmlands and urban developments. For generations, these farms have grown the food that feeds Canadian families. There is a climate crisis developing in this picturesque landscape. Floods, droughts, algae, they all threaten the very water that these farms need to grow their crops. And add to this the growing populations in nearby communities, and the threat to Lake Simcoe and the surrounding watershed is extreme. We're going to visit a farm that's implemented a new closed-loop water recycling system that recovers tons of phosphorus from entering the environment each year and helps to regenerate their soil. I'm Derek from Econse. This is Water Stories, so let's get into it.
Algae is present in all water bodies and all ecosystems. The issue is when there's too much algae. When there's an excess of nutrients, specifically phosphorus in a water body, it causes an algae bloom. The decomposition of algae pulls oxygen from the water, making it more difficult for fish and other aquatic species to survive. As population growth continues, the contaminant load into Lake Simcoe will continue to increase. The risk of leaving this issue unsolved is that the ecosystem would be thrown out of balance. This would have cascading impacts not only to the environment, but also to the people that are living in the watershed. The supply of drinking water would be potentially at risk. If we were to lose a resource like Lake Simcoe, it would be impossible to replace it. It was clear that this problem wasn't going to go away unless specific and drastic intervention was taken.
Hillside Gardens is a farm and a packing plant. There's really two operations. The first one is growing the vegetables in the fields, and the second business is packing the vegetables. Our customers are the retail who's who of the business. In Canada, we operate here in the Holland Marsh. In the Holland Marsh, about 20,000 acres of the most unique soil in North America. It's very similar to peat moss. You pick that soil up and it doesn't clump. It holds water, a lot of nutrients. Because it's super unique, it presented very unique issues for dealing with the wash water. Wash water contains some residual fertilizers that we use to grow the plants, and that those fertilizers, particularly phosphorus and nitrogen, would make its way through the watercourses and cause an algae bloom out in Lake Simcoe. We needed to change because of government legislation. In order to comply with the Ministry of the Environment, we had to put in a system that would deal with the wash water. We were threatened with being shut down. Would have meant 200 people would lose their jobs, would mean that thousands of tons of product would rot. Shutdown would be catastrophic for the business. And I would have been devastated if the farm shut down. As a business, we have a responsibility to take care of and protect our people. We're farmers, we're not wash water experts. We had to become versed in the subject. We spent a lot of time and effort looking at systems in Europe, in North America, in Canada. We also worked with Holland Marsh Growers Association, who found us a fantastic system, which we did put in place, called Econse. During the last 5 years, we've transitioned from a company using about 500,000 liters of water per day to a company that's using a few thousand liters of water per day. That's a sea change. Econse was the catalyst for us looking at our whole farm really as being a closed loop. In other words, not sending waste to landfills. I believe that once we have the entire end-to-end closed-loop system in place, which is Econse along with all the recycling and the composting, we will be a model farm. We will be able to show that you can take your waste and turn that waste into material that can be used to improve the yield and output and health of your soils. And that's a big win.
So I was happy to come back and see that a lot of farms have since implemented some of the solutions that we were recommending. It was great to see that the work that the water project did had a lasting effect, and it's ongoing as well. We do hope that the work we did on the water project will continue to be useful for farmers into the future.
This traditional Canadian agricultural community rose to the challenge of urban sprawls, nutrient pollution, and climate change to preserve their land and water for future generations. The farmers here in the Holland Marsh are an inspiration to the communities around the world by showing how to better manage their water and their soil. Good farms need good water to grow their crops, and new technologies are going to help them reduce their impact while still growing their business. I'm Derek from Econse. This is Water Stories, and thanks for watching.